Good morning, church family and friends. I'm coming to you this morning to try to address some issues and to give us some direction and a calm presence in a time in which maybe we are uncertain about some things around us. And I want to make sure that you understand that without a whole lot of effort here and a lot of time being used, that we're going to make every effort we can as a church to try to be that presence for our community right now. I want to speak to the fact that some of you are asking questions about Sunday's worship and ongoing activities of the church, and it's important for us to maybe come together and make a direct plan about that. So I want to give some direction for us and help us to set the goals of what we have. First of all, we don't need to stop being the church. The chances that our community would need us are even greater now, perhaps because there's a time in which you might be isolated physically, but you don't want to be isolated emotionally and spiritually. So the question will be for us, how do we maintain that and still do the diligence to those that physically need to be protected? And I want to start with this. If you are a person who, because of health reasons, maybe you've been being in the process of treatments for cancer, other things in your life, or it's just simply an issue of age and compromise in your life health-wise, that you find yourself with a compromised immunity, or you think you are beginning to get to be sick and to show symptoms of illness, the wisest thing we can do in that situation is to quarantine self or to be able to not put yourself in the midst of a larger group. And for that reason, I would say if the need is there, I respect and protect your right to stay home and be protected in that situation and not to infect others. So with regard to that, I'll come back in a little bit to tell you our plan of how we want to help you in that process. What I also want to say, though, is that we're not going to just cancel things. What we can do is we can certainly be more diligent about how we do things. So we will continue with our worship schedule for this Sunday and hopefully the Sundays after, but we will do so with a mindset of trying to provide the best and the safest environment that we can. We'll alter our worship schedule some for things like greeting and welcome of each other to reduce the number of times that we would physically contact each other. We'll regard the respect of every person whenever we hold back from the handshaking and the hugging and the things that we normally would do, and simply still show the acts of kindness that will be a word of welcome and making eye contact and sharing a smile. But at the same time, we will do things like make sure that we have hand sanitizer, Kleenex, things that we need here in our worship spaces so that we can be able to take care of any needs of the individuals in the course of our worship together. And in doing so, we also then have to be mindful of the ways that we monitor these areas. And so I'm going to ask for some effort on our church part to have some volunteers who would step forward as our quote-unquote pew angels to help us in the interim between worship services to make sure our worship space is restored and cleaned and prepared for the next activities. Picking up after ourselves, doing the little things that we can do will be significant in this. Covering our mouth when we cough or if we sneeze, these things are significant. Please make sure that you're doing everything you can as individuals, and I'll do the same to protect and guard ourselves and protect others in the midst of that. Again, if you're feeling at all sick and you're feeling in ways that this is too risky for you to do this, we respect your rights to stay home and to worship from there. Finally, I want to say that I would love it also if we would make a diligent effort to schedule with the church office any use of our church facilities. All the occasions that we might have to drop in and do something at the church need to be mindseted through our church office so that we can make sure those spaces are prepared and ready. Also, if you're hosting an event or planning an event here, make sure that you're doing your part to prepare that space before people arrive, and then due diligence with cleaning it and preparing it for the next group whenever your event is finished. That'll be significant for Sunday school classes, for small groups that meet here, church meetings, or whatever the case may be. We'll continue our plans with Wednesday night fellowship, but we'll make a diligence to clean hands and do all those things we need to do. Finally, I want to also say that our outreach will not be minimized either. This is a better chance for that in many ways. While people are being isolated physically for the purposes of protecting themselves against the virus, it will be just as important that the church have a presence spiritually and emotionally for them to not feel completely alone. And so we'll be doing a diligent effort to record things and to make things available on YouTube, on our YouTube channel that we have for Pleasant Retreat United Methodist Church. You can go to YouTube and search that. You can also subscribe to it. That's where we'll post sermons. That's where we'll post the children and youth singing. That's where we will post the cantatas, all the things that we do in the life of our worship. It's a place that you can go if you're the ones that are staying home and still feel connected to your church. Remember also your giving to the church. Online giving, things like that help us in the compromise moments that we don't have the attendance we need to still have the support that we need to do ongoing ministry. Finally, I want to make a mention about March the 29th. In the season of Lent, we've been in this diligent effort to do some faith questions. And on the 29th, we had a very specific faith question that was about finding the richness of serving others. And I'm going to ask that we suspend our efforts to do a worship beyond the walls that Sunday. We'll still focus on that question and the answers that it gives us. But I do want to say that I'm using that word suspend instead of cancel because I want you to understand, and I think we all need to commit to it, that many times our need is to be beyond these walls. Our faith will grow whenever we can present it beyond these walls. And there will be more opportunities for us, probably in a safer environment when people are more receptive to us as well. So we're not going to give up on that dream and that vision. We'll still continue in our liturgy and our plans to work through the Lenten season, prepare ourselves for Easter with the faith questions. Again, thank you for your faithfulness. I encourage your prayers for discernment and decisions as we go, for healthy conversation and ways that we can respect and love each other through this. I believe our God is a mighty God, and with prayer and presence, he'll make a difference. A final thought to think about. When you are washing your hands, you're told to sing the wheels of the bus go round and round or to count to 20. Maybe a diligent effort in that effort would be to just simply say, okay, as I'm washing my hands, I'm going to say the Lord's Prayer. Or I'm going to sing Jesus Loves Me. If you want to really be bold, do it out loud somewhere, at Walmart or wherever you are washing your hands, and let people look at you and hear you. Your faith will speak to these moments, and yet you'll still accomplish the same task. Be mindful of the ways that you can initiate and bring a confidence and assurance, a calm presence to all those around you that need it the most. I pray that you're protecting yourself or your family, that you're guarded and well preserved in the ways that we need to be, but then we're bold in the ways that we need to be as well. Thank you for listening to me, and I hope that maybe this will help give us some direction in our next steps. God bless.